Okay, good evening to all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Yes. Now I think you all can hear me. Is there any issue about the voice? Please inform to me. I think I'm going to the today's session. This is session number 2. I think someone is already recording. Right. Then I will move to the, this is my second topic. Can you hear me? Mahenawada?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir. We can.
Yes, you
Sir.
can hear. Right. Good. Then I'll go to the presentation mode. This is the last time I already explained to you about the accounting information system is what. Today I am going to talk to you overview of the business process. That means the entire organization, what is happening, what is the business processes are. Last time also I just mentioned about the business processes, but today I'm going to explain further about the business processes. Now, just remember, I suppose that when you go to the last time work, what I have done, the business processes and small case study also I have discussed with you. What are the basics business processes in which an organization engage? That is the first thing you want to learn after this lesson. Then you should want to learn decisions. What decision must be made to undertake these processes? Type of decision, because we all want to make the decisions. Then we want to learn what information is required to make those decisions, right? Then you want to know the role of data processing. The data processing for each cycle, there are certain cycle business processes. We are going to convert it to the cycles. Each cycle processing data is very essential. Then how do we process the data? What is the input data, what is the process data, what is the output data? Those kind of things also you will learn today. More basics, but very important because this is our second session. What role does the uh, data processing cycle play in organizing business processes and providing information to the users? That is what you're going to learn. And what is the role of information system and ERP? We call enterprise resource planning. SAP is a brand name, SAP is a brand name. The generic name is enterprise resource planning. How it's work in modern organization, also going to talk. Then starting with the beginning, I think you have a just idea about here. Uh, Business processes. Businesses engage in variety of processes. They do many things. I think last time also you learned they acquire capital. That is some kind of a business transaction, business processes. Acquiring capital, you have to find out the source of the capital, interest rate, and how you're going to pay dividends. And kind of, there's a big process. Just acquiring capital is a transaction, but go to this transaction, there is a process. Variety of processes are like that. Buying a building and equipment, we just feel that you already have a house, already you acquire the building. But before you buy the building or any other equipment, there are certain things you want to check, certain things you have to go through, and all kind of things we call processes. Hiring and training employees, recruitment procedure is a process. Purchasing inventory, it's also, we can just see the inventory there, but there is a process of getting inventories, right? Then doing advertising and marketing and selling goods and services, collecting payments from customers, paying employees, paying taxes. Those are just the example of variety of processes. There are more and unlimited. But what we do in accounting information system, we categorize these processes under each cycles, right? Revenue cycle, expenditure cycle. Likewise, we are going to categorize. That is what our similar transaction, similar processes, similar cycles, paying vendors. Each activity requires different type of decision. We know acquiring capital, you want many information, many decision making you want to do. Each decision requires a different type of information. Types of information needed for decision. Some is financial decision. Some is non-financial decision, right? All are not in finance. Different decision types are there. Some comes from internal source and some come from external source. An effective accounting information system, AIS, mean accounting information system, needs to be able to integrate information. This word is very important. Integrate, right? Integrate information of different types and from different sources. Now you just understand the business process. Example, acquiring capital. For that, you need different type of information, different type of decision. Our AIS is the one we are providing a source, different source and required information to make such a business process or effectively run the business process. That is what in AIS. If you have AIS, always you can run the business process smoothly and effectively without any doubt, because you are getting a proper information, then you make a proper decision, then your business process is getting success. That is what our aim. By improving business processes leading to efficient production, Toyota has become the largest automobile manufacturer in the world, a title held by General Motors for almost 100 years. Long time back, car market, the vehicle market dominated by the USA, America, but later it dominated Japan, still dominated by the Japan. The reason, I think, the efficient production process exactly, depend on the source of the information, various vendors you have to get connected, various raw materials, labor, etc. And all are very important. For such a things, we need a very good accounting information system. Then we talk about that interaction with external and internal parties. because accounting information system is not only the internally related one, or it is not a inside the organization one. Always you establish in internally, but you have to make the connection with external like a vendors, customers, agent, etc. External parties relationship and internal parties. We have internal managers, accountants, CFOs, CIOs, and their relationship also very important. Therefore, AIS is a focal one. It always develops the relationship between external and internal. You can see here the AIS also interacts with internal parties such as employees and management. And here AIS interact with external parties such as customers, vendors, creditors, and government. And AIS also internal connected with internal parties. And this is like a reciprocal, right? The interaction is typically two-way in that the AIS send information to and receive information from these parties. This is what here happening in the AIS process. Now that is what you should want to understand clearly. Then, this all business processes, right? I told you the similar transaction type of things we categorize as a cycle. That cycle we call business cycle. A transaction under here, the transaction very easily, an agreement between two entities. It can be a two-person or a two organization. An arrangement between two entities to exchange goods or service or any other event that can be measured in economic terms by an organization. Normally, transaction we measure as an economic term. Money matters, right? Rather than the figures, rather than the non-financial. Non-financial means some relationship among the people and kind of a things. But here we talk always in accounting transaction mean monetary terms, that mean always economic terms. Example, sell goods to the customer, you get the money and you sell the goods, you giving the goods to the customer. You depreciate the equipment, the value, the huge money you paid, then get the assets, then it's reducing day by day. The business transaction cycle is a process that business transaction cycle is a process. Process mean, the lot of activities are involving in the process. Its activities are like this, beginning with capturing data about transaction, right? First, you go and buy something, system want to capture, right? Transaction, some data, and ends with information output, such as financial information. Usually, you know that in accounting is a process. Everybody say accounting is process because you're starting with a transaction or events, that mean our inputs. Then our ledger system, you heard about our ledger system, journal system, cash book and all primary books. And we recorded all these nowadays, all are computerized. We recorded all these things electronically or manually. Then ending, you prepare trial balance. Based on that, you prepare your financial statement, like income statement and financial position of the organization, previously called balance sheet, and cash flow statement, something like that. Now, this is a process. This process starting with the transactions and events, which are monetary measurement items, and finally end up with the reports. The many business processes, I told you, we summarizing, all business processes are paired, like double entry, also similar, paired in give, get, exchange. That is very new to you. In computer science also, rather than studying debit credit, we have to understand the give-get relationship. That means you give something, you get something. That is exchange between two parties. Basic exchanges can be grouped into 5 major transaction cycles. The earlier you study what are the business cycles, right, or the processes, different business processes, these things we can summarize under 5 major transaction cycle. That's the studying each cycle in depth, very essential. That is the one we are doing later. One is revenue cycle. Revenue mean main income generating cycle. Expenditure cycle, you can earn revenue, income, without buying goods or paying certain cost of services, etc. Expenditure cycle. Then the production cycle. Production cycle, you have to produce the product and sell. Then human resource or payroll cycle. That is also very important, right? All employees are get connected to that. Then financing cycle. That is the final one, right? All acquiring capital and all kind of things are get connected to the financial cycle. Then understand revenue cycle, expenditure, all similar, all revenue cycle, including all revenue related documents, revenue related decision making you want to take, and revenue related informations going here and there, right? And some documents are very important in accounting, right? Revenue generated like vouchers, invoices, pay orders, and all documents type also. Each under cycle, you learn the pattern, this much routine pattern, similar to the every organization, and going to learn. That is what in ERP also, these things are talking about the separate modules. Revenue cycle is what? We go one by one. Revenue cycle involves interaction with your customers because you have to sell and earn the money. You sell goods and services and get cash. I told you each cycle give-get relationship is there. You give goods, you get cash. Give-get relationship is common for each and every cycles which I mentioned previous slides. Revenue cycle is connected with the customer. Then you give the goods to the customer and you get the cash from the customer. Then expenditure cycle. Expenditure cycle involves interactions with your suppliers. Suppliers are vendors. You have to buy the purchasing the inventories, purchasing the goods for resale purpose, or maybe raw material you have to purchase from them. This is also you buy goods or services like electricity, water, and pay cash. As in our summary form, we give cash and we get the goods. Right? Give-get relationship is a common. Sometimes we give, sometimes we get. Right? Another person get or another person give. This is very common for organization. When you think about the company point of view, your organization point of view, revenue cycle, you give goods, get cash. Expenditure cycle, you give cash and you get goods or services. Production cycle, that is also a very common cycle, one of the cycles out of 5. In production cycle, raw materials and labor are transformed into finished goods because you converted the raw materials to the finished goods. That is what production cycle means. Give raw materials and labor and you get finished goods, completed products. Now this is involving you have to give raw materials, you have to give labor, right? Sometimes materials including overhead, etc., and to get the finished goods. Human resource cycle, That is another important cycle. You and me also involving with this cycle. The human resource cycle involves interaction with your employees. The previous one, interaction with, you remember, production cycle, normally interaction with, inside the organ, transformation process, raw materials and labor, you transform to the finished goods. But revenue cycle, you interacted with the customer. Expenditure cycle, interact with the vendors, right? And purchasing people. And human resource cycle, you interact with your employees, interaction with your employees. Employees are hired, trained, paid, evaluated, promoted, and sometimes you have to terminate them. What is the relationship under the give and get summary form relationship in this cycle, payroll cycle or human resource cycle? We give cash, we get labor or effort. Financing cycle involves interaction with investors and creditors. Financial cycle involves interaction with investors and creditors. You raise capital, right, through stock or debt, repay the capital, and pay a return on it, interest or dividends. Now, this is always connected with the finance, capital, interest, or dividends, right? What happened here, interaction with always investors and creditors. You give cash, you get cash, both cash here. Now, these are we call main cycle. Inside this main cycle, thousands of transactions can occur within any of these cycles. It's unlimited. Transaction numbers are unlimited. For each cycle, you can concern so much of the transaction. Say revenue cycle, uh, you have to, you have to contact the customer, giving a credit terms or giving a cash, right? Maybe you have to assess their debts or the payable or receivable, and then you have to sell the goods. Then selling the goods, we have a lot of documentation process, inventory controlling, and kind of things also including that. Then after sales services and collecting a money receivable, there are many transactions, each and every cycle inside that relevant to that cycle, right? There are so much of the transactions are, involved in, right? That is what accounting is. Computerization is very easy when you go to cycle by cycle. We don't computerize any organization, just like this, right? We always cycle by cycle, revenue cycle, and all the documents and transaction. Once we understand, the computerization easy. Expenditure cycle, salary cycle, payments, human resource payments, salary. Many organization nowadays is computerized, cycle by cycle, and finally all cycles are get connected to that, right? Then the huge ERP system or SAP system you can develop. But there are relatively few types of transaction in each cycle, right? Example, you can see in the revenue cycle, the basic give get transaction is give goods, get cash, some other transactions. Now you can see, I told you one cycle, particular cycle, each cycle you can find out the many transactions. But all these transactions we can summarize. Summary form calculation you can do. You handle customer inquiries, take customer orders, approve credit sales, check inventory availability, initiate back orders, pick and pack orders, ship goods, bill customers, update sales and accounts receivable for sales, receive customer payments, update accounts receivable for collection, handle sales returns, and bad debts. Prepare management reports and send information to the other cycles. Now you can see, now these are very repetitive. That is what accounting easy. Why accounting, computerization of accounting is getting easier. These transactions are repetitive nature, right? Easy to understand all these revenue cycle aspects. Right? These are, coming under all these cycle, under all these transactions connected to the revenue cycle. And similar, another transaction you can find out under the expenditure cycle. That is also coming under expenditure cycle transactions. Note that the last activity in any cycle, because finally we have to, all these cycles are get connected one and each. I will show you revenue cycle cannot work without expenditure cycle and production cycle. Production cycle is the cycle who produce the products. Without products, you can't sell, you can't get revenue. Right? These are get connected. All cycles are one to one get connected. Now we'll see one by one cycle. Click in each cycles. You can understand expenditure cycle. Major is give cash and get goods and services. That is what expenditure cycle we have to purchase the services. Other transaction which are connected to the expenditure cycle, requisition goods and services, process purchase order to vendors, receive goods and services, store goods, receive vendor invoice, update accounts payable for purchases, approve invoice for payments, pay vendors, update accounts payable for payment, handle purchase returns, discounts and allowances, prepare management reports, and send information to other cycle. Now, these all other transactions are related to the, expenditure cycle, because pay vendors, updates payable, right? And once you need the goods, you have to raise the requisition orders, and purchase orders you have to raise, and all kind of things are coming under that. Then HRM cycle, we call HR stroke payroll cycle. Major activity or a major transaction is give get relationship is give cash, get labor effort. In order to that, in addition to that main major transaction, there are few transactions, some other transactions also involving under payroll and HR cycle, recruit, hire and train employees, evaluate and promote employees, discharge employees, update payroll records, pay employees under that, process time card and commission data, commission, etc., prepare and distribute payroll, calculate and disburse tax and benefit payments, prepare management reports, send information to other cycle. Then production cycle. Major give-get relationship is give labor and raw materials, get finished goods. Other transaction, design products, forecast, plan and schedule production, requisition raw materials, manufacture products, store or inventorize finished goods, accumulate cost for products, prepare management reports, and send information to other cycle. Then financing cycle, another very important transaction cycle. Major give-get is give cash and get cash. Other transaction, forecast cash needs, sell securities to investors, borrow money from lenders, pay dividends to investors and interest to lenders, retire debt, that means pay back to the debtors, prepare management reports, send information to other cycles. Now you can see each cycle, a lot of transactions, and these transactions are similar for that particular cycle. Then when we go to computerize or maybe manualize, whatever, cycle by cycle, we combine the transaction. Every transaction cycle relates to the other cycle. Example, production cycle produce the goods, revenue cycle sell that particular goods. Interface with general ledger, because finally reporting is very important. We have general ledger reporting cycle as well, because these all get connected and recorded all transaction, and we have to prepare the at the end financial statement, because all these cycles involve in their own accounts, transactions, and own documents, pay order, invoices, right? And there are lot of documents. These cycles are get connected. Documents are there. I mean, those documents can be a manual or a electronic. These documents are evidence the which transactions occurred in the organization. Then recording, we need a recording. We have to prepare the financial statement. Then we'll start with this. Every transaction cycle relates to the other cycles, interface with general ledger and reporting system, which generates information for management and external parties. Now you can see here, this all cycles, how it's get connected. Revenue cycle and expenditure cycle, the production cycle. Right now, you know what is revenue cycle, what are transaction including in the revenue cycle. Expenditure cycle, you know what is expenditure cycle, what transaction, what documentation, what information, what decisions coming under each cycle. That is what you have to learn at last. Then general ledger cycle. Now say revenue cycle, always get the goods from production cycle. And funds, right? Financing cycle, funds are income. And data, you send it to the general ledger reporting cycle. The revenue cycle gets finished goods from the production cycle, provides funds to the financing cycle, they are profit, sales, etc., revenues, provide the data to the general ledger and reporting system, right? Then this one, expenditure cycle, the financing cycle giving funds to the expenditure cycle, and expenditure cycle giving data to the general ledger and reporting system, and expenditure cycle giving raw materials to the production cycle. The expenditure cycle gets funds from the financing cycle, provide raw materials to the production cycle, provides data to the general ledger reporting system. Now this is production cycle, get raw materials from the expenditure cycle, gets labor from the human resource and payroll cycle, provides finished goods to the revenue cycle, provides data to the general ledger and reporting system. Then human resource system or human resource cycle gets good funds from the finishing financing cycle, provides labor to the production cycle, and provides data to the general ledger. All you can see, all cycles each other related, and finally all cycles are get connected to the general ledger and reporting system, because financial statement you have to produce. Even financing cycle also connected to the revenue, expenditure, and funds are paying money to the HRM, and finally get connected to the providing a data to the GL. gets funds from the revenue cycle, provides funds to the expenditure and payroll cycle, provides data to the general ledger reporting system. The finally GL, or general ledger and reporting system, that is the all amalgamating. They are getting many data from every cycles, and finally they prepare financial reports for external users and some other important reports to the internal people. Now, many accounting software packages like ERP, right? Nowadays, ERP is very popular, right? We call SAP, SAP is a brand name, right? Many accounting software packages implement the different transaction cycles as separate modules. Many accounting software packages implement the different transaction cycles as a separate modules, right? Modules wise, they produce the accounting packages, or finally all amalgamated one like a SAP. Also, they produce many accounting software packages implement the different transaction cycles, separate modules. Not every modules is needed to every organization. Example, retail companies, they don't want production cycle. They want, right, revenue cycle and expenditure cycle. Some companies may need extra modules like hospitals, etc. They need their unique cycles. The implementation of each transaction cycle can differ significantly across the companies, right? This is company to company. This should be, right, changing, right? This should be changing company to company. That is that nature also you should want to understand. Then, however, the cycles are implemented, it is critical that the AIS, Accounting Information System, be able to accommodate the information needs of managers, right? Accommodate the information needs of managers. Then integrate financial and non-financial. Some information, number of employees are working in the organization. Those are non-financial information. Or the qualification, CEO's qualification, other employees' qualifications, right? There are financial, non-financial, both information. Integration is very, very essential. Accommodate the information needs of managers. That is very important. Always managers want information to make the decision. If they don't have a sound information, they can't make the decision. Therefore, each and every cycle, the ultimate aim is they provide the information for people who wants to make the decision. Not only financial, even non-financial as well. Then transaction processing, how we process the data. Now, you understand data is the information. The data, what the data in the organization, you converted all data to the information. Some meaningful ideas, the kilograms, age of the employees, 5 is a data. Say 35. 35 is a number, it's a data, right? American called data, right? 35. But most of the employees in my organization are around 35 years old. Now it became information. You convert the data to the information. For this is a processing required. You have to data processing is required. Data processing cycle is a very important one for the accounting methodology. Accountants play an important role in data processing. Say you are accountant. Most of the impact students are working as accounting field. Say if you are accountant, what you are doing? You are the person in the organization. You collect the data and convert all these data or processing these data. for a meaningful ideas. It can be a report form, it can be a query form, it can be idea form, whatever. Every day what you do, you convert the data, and you're processing a data for important, right, to generate the important ideas. Accountants play an important role in data processing. They answer questions such as what data should be entered and stored, right? You have to process the data you want to enter and you have to keep for a future purpose store. Who should be able to access the data? Are you allowed to everybody to access the data? Or how should the data be organized, updated, stored, assessed, and retrieved? It would mean you can display, you can see it, right? And you have to assess whether data is right or wrong, store, keep the future purpose, update the data, right? And all kind of things are coming under data processing part. How can scheduled and unanticipated information needs be met? Now, to answer these questions, they must understand data processing concept. To answer these questions, they must understand data processing concept. Now I am going to teach you the processing data, how to process the data processing process. An important function of the accounting information system is to efficiently and effectively process the data about a company's transactions. An important function of the accounting information system is to efficiently and effectively process the data about companies' transactions. That's no need to explain, right? How are we going to process accurately, efficiently, quickly, speedily, and without wasting more time and the cost, that is efficient, effective. Those are the things we're going to study under this session, processing data, right? Usually in the long run or in the past time, people process the data manually. Still, I think maybe in your organization, some data you do in electronically, some kind of data you process manually. I don't know what kind of data you process, right? Maybe semi-annually sometimes both, manually and semi-annually, both you do. Now, this is very common, right? Manual process, we can't stop still because still it is functioning. Still it is doing, right? Still it is going. Right. In manual system, data is entered into the paper, journal, and ledgers. Usually, you're starting with the journals, then you go to the ledgers, right? That is way. Then you go to the trial balance. That is the way we do, all this processing. But in computer-based system, these journals and ledgers in electronic form, right? In computer-based system, the series of operations performed on data is referred to as the data processing cycle. Now you learn today business processing cycle, right? Transaction processing cycle, 5, like revenue cycle, likewise expenditure cycle, human resource payroll cycle, finance cycle, and kind of a cycles you learn. Now you are learning data processing cycle. This is the main core of the AI, yes. The data processing cycle consists of 4 steps. These are very common, I think these 4 steps everybody know. Data input, data storage, data processing, and information output. Input, storage, process, and finally output. This is common, no? Right? You can't process the data without input. You can't, once you process the data, there should be output as well. Right? Storage also one kind of output, information also another kind of output. Right? Processing is your job. Manually, mostly you do the process, but nowadays, semi-annually, right? Semi-electronically or a fully electronically, you can process the data. But input essential. Without input, nobody can't process the data. We'll see data inputs, what kind of data inputs you need today to process the data. First step in data processing is capture the data. Now you go to supermarket, you buy many items, and you come to the cashier. Cashier punching means scanning. There is a price tag. The cashier have a small equipment. Through this equipment, scanning or punching all prices and other information. Type of the product, and the how many units there that go to the inventory also, that information. Inventory also update in same time, right? And manufacturer name, right? And price, etc. also, easily, this bar chart, through bar chart, they can scan that particular point. The first point we call capture the data. Capture the data is one of the very important part of the data input. Suppose you want to process the data in your organization. If you want to implement the AIS system, first we have to think about how I am going to capture the data. Nowadays, electronically capture, otherwise manually. Write down. Usually triggered by a business activity. Data is captured about the event that occurred, the resources affected by the event, an agent who participated. We call R, ERV or REA. Normally we call REA, starting with R, but it's okay, ERA or REA. Event is I go to the shop and buy something. That is event. Event always connected to the transaction. Because of that event, I give money, company give product to me. Then company point of view, when the customer come and do sales, company inventory reduce, cash increase because company get money and company give stock or inventory goods to the customer. Then somebody else, by agents mean customer is a one person, some person, your salesman or sales agent or employee, sales employee also, some employee also involved in to make the sales, we call agent. Agent mean two-way, internal and external agent. External is the customer. Internal is the one of the organization person, the organization person. Resources mean, it's always changing. Resources mean always changing. You get cash or you give the goods to the others. Event mean the incidents, right? That is what you should want to understand clearly. A number of actions can be taken to improve the accuracy and efficiency of the data. Input very essential. How you are going to increase the data input efficiency and accuracy. Suppose you look at the chart and enter the data at the computer, sometimes accuracy loss. You can't remember the data, maybe even your right voucher. You read the voucher name, amount, right? Read the voucher by voucher, enter in data to the computer, always have a late, not efficient, and more, accuracy also have some issue. You can't get high accuracy. But this punching, right, like bar chart coding, scanning, electronically happen. Those things are happen electronically, very less, less error and high accuracy and efficient as well. Therefore, nowadays, there are a lot of data inputs methods are involving. Turn around documents. Maybe you have seen one of the very famous, data input mechanism, like electricity bill and water bill. There is a one part of your bill, right? You have to submit the water bill. There are small part they are giving to you. Suppose you go to the supermarket, you want to pay the electricity bill. Then you fill the electricity bill. You submit it to the supermarket cashier in the supermarket. That water bill have a code, electronically readable, machine readable, we call code, right? That is supermarket person or any counter. If they have a machines, readable machines, they can read the code. Then your accounts number, your address, your amount to pay, everything there. The stub on your stub means some part of the document, right? On your telephone bill that you tear off කියලා කියන්නේ ගලවලා, you have to remove that, right? And return with your check when you pay the bill. The customer account number is coded on the document, usually a machine readable form, which reduce the probability of human error in applying the check to the correct account. Look, that is very essential. Nowadays, many organizations, they create bills with a machine readable format. There's a code also coming with a, at the end of the bill. Then you go to cashier, giving a bill, then the cashier scan it automatically in the cashier's monitor, everything, right? Your accounts number, amounts, goods, and all, without any human error, right? You can apply and, it's a check the correct account, good input method, right? Rather than, voucher by voucher, you read and entering, always human error is arise. But turnaround document, machine readable formatting kind of a document, I think error you can reduce. Then you have a source data automation. Another one like ATM for a banking. Point of sales like retail stores like a supermarket scanner. Automated gas pumps that accept your credit card. Those places, capture data with minimum human intervention. You don't have a, human error. Our main objective is superb input you need. You need without error input, because good input without error input, your processing also accurate. and then final information you get for decision making also highly accurate. That's what you heard about the word called garbage in, garbage out, right? In always in computer science, in computer, if you put something garbage, garbage mean, error, unnecessary waste kind of a thing, your output also the same, right? If you put correct, good information, good data without human error, because I'm not going to say humans are always making error, but by mistakes, right? If you have a lot of works, human error is easy. Human error can happen. You can manage it easily. Well-designed source documents and data entry screens, right? Well-designed source documents and data entry screens, very essential. How do these improve the accuracy and efficiency of data input? How do these improve the accuracy of efficiency and data inputs? You can understand now the proper well-designed source documents and data entry. Now, say good example I can tell you. There are certain things in internet you have to fill. Suppose if you know the postal code, easily you can fill. Suppose they ask in your ID number. If you type your ID number wrong way, say without one word, or even your telephone number without 10 figures, you miss one or two, maybe 9, 8. The computer doesn't allow you to save. You save, doesn't allow. They say, no, you miss this particular field. You miss this particular number. You miss this arrow. They automatically mention because computer already programmed for your numbers in your ID card. Your phone numbers, say 10 numbers in your phone, right? Phone number. If you reduce one or two, right? The computer doesn't allow you to save. Now, these are kind of a controlling. Then accuracy, right? We can improve the accuracy and efficiency of the data input, right? I can't say 100%, but certainly in certain percentage, you can improve, right? If we have a well-designed source documents and data entry screen. Sometimes, in data input using pre-numbered documents or having the system automatically assign sequential numbers to the transaction. That is also, very good. Sometimes it's okay, especially for invoices, all have a numbers. For pay orders, we have a number in say your receipts, cash receipts books, we have a numbers. Numbers are missing, this doesn't work. What does it mean if a document number is missing in the sequence? What does it mean? If a document number is missing in the sequence, you can easily trace it, right? Which document is missing, right? Otherwise, system does not allow to save it, does not go to the next step. They avoid, refrain the next step, right? But otherwise, you fill the gap, or until you fill the gap. What does it mean if there is a duplicate document number? The computer will understand that, right? Verified transactions and all happen. Now you can understand input is the very important one for a processing data. You have to pay more attention. And if you are, say, you are an auditor in a certain organization, first when you go to if you want to audit the computerized accounting system, look how they get the input. Who is doing input? Inputs are computerized, human error less. Inputs are, human or some person, some clerk, collect all the voucher and going to enter the system. Definitely errors you can find out, right? If it is computerized, code in there, right, and machine readable, then easy. That is what we call efficient and The ICT, information communication technology, when you use IT, always make efficient and accurate and less human error. That is why we need IT to do. See, you as a accountant, if you know the IT more, the system is efficient, system is less error. Human intervention is less, then error is less, right? Input part, you have to keep more, time. You have to take more time and check how I get the accurate input to my system. You have to process the data. Input is very essential. Check for inventory availability before completing an online sales transaction. Now, this verify transaction. You want somebody asking some goods. Maybe it's not available in the stocks. Inventories, you can't find out it. Inventory is not available. Sufficient inventory is not available. Then definitely you have to check on or before completing an online sales transaction. You have to check whether available stock is there or not. If there, you can enter the data. Now, this is also some kind of verify the transaction. Then once you input the data, right, data processing, data storage, and all kind of things I want to talk to you, right? What is storage? Now, usually manual storage means filings, right? Manual storage is filing, right? Manual storage is filing. Under here, storage. Data needs to be organized for easy and efficient access. Now, in the manual file, you have all the copies. That is very hard to find out. Immediate access is difficult. But in an efficient system, data needs to be organized for easy and efficient access. Let's start with some vocabulary terms with respect to the data storage. Right? Data storage, I think in accounting people like you, we used to use, but still in electronically we use ledger. I think you know what is ledger very well. I know I don't want to explain the ledger is what here. I assume your knowledge is zero. You all have a zero knowledge, right? I assume that you don't have you are the first time students who study accounting information system. I assume like that, but everybody know, most of the accounting students, what is ledger? So T account. You have a debit side, credit side, you have a date, time, description, amount. Ledger is the use to store cumulative information about resources and agents, because maybe the inventory, stock account, or is a receivable account. Some person, their resources, say cash account, cash is a resources, and all cumulative information, cash receipts, cash payments, from which person, for what work. These are like the resource and agents, like cumulative information in certain particular period. We typically use the word ledger to describe the set of T accounts. The T accounts is where we keep track of the beginning balances, then decreases, and ending balances for each assets, liability, owner's equity, revenue, expenses, gain, losses, and dividend account. This all we call is a ledger. Ledger is a stores, right? Storage means you keep the data for a future purposes. Now, ledger looks like that, right? This is electronic ledger rather than the T accounts, right? We have a columns, debit column, credit column, balances. References person, we have course ref, description, date. You can find out this is accounts receivable and number also there, chart of accounts also there. Following is an example of a ledger account for accounts receivable. This is ledger is a one kind of a data storage method. Accumulative data there, you can up to date also, you can update the data as well. General ledger. The general ledger is the summary level information for all accounts. Summary level information for all accounts. Detailed information is not kept in this account. Detailed information is not kept in this account. This is summary level information, right? Especially suppose XYZ company has 3 customers. Anthony Adams owns, right, $100. Bill Brown owns 200. Curray Campbell owns 300. The balance in accounts receivable in the general ledger will be 600, but you will not be able to tell how much individual customers owe by the looking at the account. The detail is not there. You can see, right? Maybe you are very familiar these things, I know, but just to show you, you have idea about this is ledger, right? You put the people's and ideas. General ledger is, it's like adjustment entries you put on the general ledger. The things you have some summary level information. Subsidiary ledgers like debtors ledgers, creditors ledgers, right? The subsidiary ledgers contain the detailed accounts associated with, right? You can say associated with related general ledger account. The accounts receivable subsidiary ledger, now say accounts receivable subsidiary mean debtors ledger. Individual debtors you have there. There are individual names and there are amounts, right? We have to get from them, right? Receivable amount, everything included in the subsidiary ledgers. Like example, debtors subsidiary ledger, creditors subsidiary ledger, just idea, right? I think those are like, all subsidiary ledgers, like control accounts. When you go to control account, subsidiary ledgers are there, right? Subsidiary accounts balances should be equal to the balance in the control account. Debtors control account, creditors control account. I'm not going to teach you accounting, debit, credit and all, but remember those things what you learn in your school or university undergraduate level or a technical college undergraduate level. Subsidiary ledger, general ledger, right? Now these are some kind of idea, and some more you have journal entries also you have, right? These things we call data storage methods. Now usually this ledger accounts, we have a coding techniques, and we call this each and every ledger accounts we call a chart of accounts. In the next slides, I will explain to you chart. Each and every accounts, we can give a number. In computerized accounting, there is a number we allocated to the each and every ledger account, right? Even subsidiary ledger account, control account, general ledger accounts, we have numbers. That numbers we call chart of accounts. These numbers have a certain coding plan. The numbers are code. Coding is a method of systematically assigning numbers or letters to data items to help classify and organizing them. There are many types of codes include sequence code, block codes and group codes. Sequence code mean 1, 2, 3, etc. Block codes, right? Some group wise. I will show you example. Sequence codes, items such as checks or invoice. In a checkbook, you can say sequence code you can find out in a checkbook. There are proper coding, proper numbering sequentially, numbers consecutively to ensure no gaps in the sequences. There are no blank, no gaps. The number helps ensure that all items are accountable or accounted. So there is no duplicate numbers, right, which would be subject errors or frauds. Block numbers, country-wise, division-wise, product-wise, right, are used block numbers within a numerical sequence are reserved for a particular category. Balance sheet accounts, one category. Income statement, another category. Likewise, also you can block. The first 3 digits of social security number make up block codes that indicate the state. Now say this is in United States. Somebody who are working or who are living in New Hampshire, they have a 001 to 00 through in their social security number, like ID number. In our country also have some methods of ID number also they issue it. Right now, first digits, I think you can find out the year of born. Then your grammar division number. And from January to your birthday dates, something like that. New Hampshire, evage block dates also very common. Group codes like bank number, Federal Reserve, district, branch office, even our right in check also have some code, right? Code number, bank number, type of bank number, something like it. The group codes are used, 2 or more subgroups of digits are used to code an item. The code in upper right hand corner of many checks is group code organized as, right, first 2 digits Bank of Ceylon and 3 digits Federal, 4 to 7 branch office, even branch, head office, whatever in the union place, everything you can say coding part. Ledger, group coding schemes are used in assigning general ledger accounts numbers. The following guide should be observed when you want to assign the number. We call coding the accounts. Each and every general ledger accounts. Say even you have accounts, you have a code number. Even I have accounts, I have a code number. The code should be consistent with its intended to use. So make sure you know what users need. Creditors, debtors, assets, right? Likewise, our intended purposely you have to identify number, you have to code it. Provide enough digits to allow room for a growth. For the use also, you have to use more. Keep it simple in order to minimize cost, facilitate memorization, right? Ensure employees' acceptance. Make sure it is consistent with the company's organization structure. The company's organization structure also keep and do it. Other division of the organization. These are some kind of a principles when you have to make the code. You can't, trial and error, you can't give in the numbers to the ledger accounts. Each and every ledger account should have a number. That number, behind the number, there should be principle you have to follow. This chart of accounts mean is that chart of accounts is list of all general ledger accounts, general ledger, right? I think you have to balance all general ledger accounts. You prepare trial balance, right? In addition to the creditors ledger, debtors ledger, other accounts, right? All transactions, T accounts, we call general ledger. General ledger accounts and organization use. You list all general ledger accounts and organization use. That is called chart of accounts. This is, I think, basic accounts. I assume that you have. Nobody in my class, I think, without knowing account, because this accounting, you have already learned accounting somewhere else, right? That is, I assume. Otherwise, I can't go to the double entry principles and all, where you learn in the O-level classes, A-level classes, and universities and all. You know all basics, but what I try to teach you, computerization part, right? You have a general accounts, general ledger accounts, each and every general ledger accounts. We assume numbers, right? We list the numbers, that is called chart of accounts. Group coding is often used for these numbers. The first section identifies the major account categories such as assets, liabilities, revenue. Second section identifies the primary sub-accounts such as current assets, long-term assets, etc. Right? That is what. And third section identifies specific accounts such as accounts receivable or inventory. Now, good example, I can tell you like that, right? Say you have a current assets. Under current, say you have assets. Assets you divide into current assets and non-current assets. Then under current assets, we have inventory receivable. Non-current assets, we have a land and building, right? Likewise, you can numbers. Fourth section identifies subsidiary accounts, specific customer code. The customers who are involved in accounts receivable, who are the customers also. There should be a proper plan. Customer receivable is a current account category. Customer receivable coming, current account category. Current account coming under assets account category. Assets account, say number 1, and current account is number 2. Then customer, that means the receivable is number 3. Then Mr. A under receivable is number 4. Should have some pattern of data you can number you have to allocate it. The structure of this chart is important. AIS issues, right? As it must contain sufficient details to meet the organization needs. Now, table 2.4 in your textbook contains the chart of accounts for SNS. I will open and show you, right? What is the account number for a federal pen nama me uttar gannu. Give me 1 second. I will download the book and show you. I couldn't find out. I suppose it's missing from my, this computer or other computer. Anyway, I'll try little later. Then I'll continue the work. This is, I think nobody asked in last time also the book. Otherwise, I will email to you. Couldn't find out where it is. Maybe some other book. I don't know whether here or not. It's there, I think. Right. I got it. Wait for a minute. Yes, I will share with you. I have a book right now. You can see the book. This is the test book. I teach everything from this book, nothing more than that. This is global edition, AIS. There are 560 pages, more than that, I think. Yeah, 849, right? You have, right? We'll see. I'm talking to you, chapter 2. Chapter 2. And here, I'm talking about input, processing, right? Business activities, data storage, and here. Now, this is some example. You can see coding. You can code product-wise. Electric. Can you see this one? Is that visible to you? My AIS book is visible to you? My presentation is visible? Payanoda Uganda?
Yes, sir.
Payanoda. Is that not visible to you?
It is visible, sir.
Visible, right? Okay. Then the range-wise. Product-wise, electric range, refrigerator, washer, dryer. Maybe you can group product-wise, color-wise, year-wise, operational-wise, group data. Right now, this is what example, current assets-wise, see, good example here. Chart of accounts, 100, 199 current assets. In 100 to 199, any number you are giving for a current account, current assets. Savings accounts, petty cash, accounts receivable, allowance for doubtful debts, notes receivable, inventory, supplies. This range is 100 to 199. Non-current assets 200 to 299. Likewise, you can assign, this is called chart of accounts. 500 to 599 all revenue. Cash sales, credit sales, sales return, sales discount, interest revenue, miscellaneous revenue, something like expenses, 600 to 799. This is for each and every accounts we allocating a number. That is, we call that number you can allocate it in a meaningful way. That is in practical part. When I teach, I will teach you this called chart of accounts. Chart of accounts, very, very essential. These are the journal. Right now, that's what I think. This is the connection, sales journal. general ledger, sales journal කියන්නේ විකුණුම් journal එක. You have like a summary. විකුණුම් journal එකේ ඇවිල්ලා sales journal ඇවිල්ලා all summary of the people and the what we sold to them. Right? Sales journal. And these particular people accounts debit, sales journal, under general ledger, sales account credit. In general ledger, sales account, you put the total 15,000 debited here. Right? This is accounts receivable debited. Now get your debit, right? Sales accounts, credit sales accounts credited. මේක ඊතලේ ගහලා තියෙනවා double entry එක අල්ල ගන්න පුළුවන්. Then subsidiary එකටත් යනවා individual persons accounts. These are all get connected to the system. This audit trial and everything you can do properly. This is what I want to show you. In the books we have a very detailed wise work, right? If you I asked from you to last time to ask this book, I would like to give you a copy. Nobody asking from me, or maybe from I told you to ask from the lady king illanna කියලා මං කිව්වා. කවුරුත් මගෙන් ඉල්ලලා තිබුණේ නැහැ. මේ ඔයගලන්ට ඕන නැත්ද දන්නෙත් නැහැ. Right? ඕන නම් කියන්න I would like to give you. මං හිතන්නේ නැහැ මට මේක ඔක්කොටම දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Everyone in the meeting දෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් I try. Right now දෙන්න පුළුවන්ද දන්නේ නැහැ. I just in your chat box I just posted my book. That's a 41.34 megabyte PDF. If you can download, try to download. I don't know sure whether you can get it or not. I just try. Otherwise, you will ask this one from Kalhari. Kalhari will give to you. And then එවලා තියෙන්නේ බලන්න පුළුවන්ද ගන්න කියලා. I already sent you. Slowly it is downloading, uploading, it's uploading slowly. Yeah, it's uploading slowly. Once the uploading is over, try to download. If you have a lab, yes, it's already uploaded. A green color message also come. Maybe you can download in your end. Right? In a phone, difficult, but once you are in the laptop, definitely you can download. Without any issue, you can download. This is the part I told you 2.4 is done. Right, give me 1 second. I will go to my presentation and go to the presentation mode. Right, then chart of accounts you can study. Right, journals. Journals in manual system and some accounting packages, the first place that transactions are entered is in the journal, like sales journal. You enter all the transaction in the sales journal, purchase journal, return inward journal, return outward journal, journal main journal or journal proper. Then the total of each journal you transfer to the general ledger, sales account and debtors accounts, etc. Right now, that is called journal. A general journal is used to record non-routine transactions such as loan payments. Those are non-general. Specific general journal, specific journal also there are, general journal also there. Summaries of routine transaction, adjusting entries, closing entries. Special journal mean sales journal, credit, Return inward, return outward, likewise journal also, right? Cash receipts, cash payments, right? Cash disbursement mean payment, credit sales, credit purchases. We call purchase journal, sales journal, return inwards, return outward, likewise. Journal also part of the journal, chart of accounts, coding techniques, subsidiary ledger, general ledger, right? Ledger, general ledger mean, all transactions. First you enter journal, the total of the journal you transfer the general ledger accounts, then creditors, debtors, subsidiary ledgers, individual balances. Likewise, all are storage. In accounting, that is what you want to understand. All students are here, they have some knowledge of accounts. If not, think about these things are storage media. Storage means deposits, written down. These are, once you storage, you have to update, right? Those kind of things. Audit trail mean, audit trail exist when there is a sufficient documentation to allow the tracing of a transaction from beginning to end, or from the back to end back to the beginning. Now say sales, credit sales, you enter to the sales journal. Then total of the sales journal go to the sales account credit, right, in general ledger, and debit individual accounts in the debtors ledger. If you want to check this transaction beginning to end and end into the back to the beginning, this is we call audit trail. The posting, we check the posting from one account to another account to another accounts. That is we call, in my book they have put arrows and all. That is called audit trail. The inclusion of posting references and document numbers enable the tracing of a transaction through the journal and ledgers, and therefore facilitate the audit trail. Audit trail means the beginning to end you can check. Storage, now that we have learned some storage terminology, let us return to the data storage process. Those are storage media, ledger, journal, etc. Now we learn storage process. When transaction data is captured on a source document, maybe invoice, the next step is to record the data in the journal. Credit sales, you get from invoice. Invoice is the source document. You enter that data into journal. Journal entries made for each transaction showing the accounts and accounts to be credited. Likewise, these are all very simple, right? Accounts receivable, debit, sales revenue, credit. Then the cash received, otherwise. Likewise, all transactions recorded in the journals, right? These are called journal. You may not have gotten much experience with special journal. Those are general journal. But in most real world situation, journal entries really work like this. Entries are originally made in the general journal only for a non-routine transactions. Summarize of routine transaction. Routine transactions are originally entered in special journal, right? That means like credit sales, example. Credit purchases. You enter first in the purchase journal, then go to the relevant journal ledger account, right? Under relevant ledgers. Credit sales, cash receipts, cash purchases, credit purchases, right? Cash disbursements. Likewise, you have entered the journal, then go to the ledgers. That is what sales journal looks like that. Within invoice number, accounts debited, credited, right? Sales journal, right? Different journals. These are all journals. These are updating, and you do all the transaction. This is a very simple, I think, all basics of accounting, right? I don't want to go one by one about the basic accounting. That is easily you can understand. If you want, I can go through it, but I don't think it is essential. Suppose the company making these sales post-transaction at the end of each day. Consequently, at the day end, they will post each individual transaction to the accounts receivable subsidiary ledger. මේක ආවේ කොහොමද මෙතනින් එන්නේ මේ තියෙන්නේ. මේ ලීකෝ කියන එක්කෙනාට 800යි මේ 700යි 900යි අපි වික්කා. right? අපි බහණ්ඩ වික්කා. මේ වික්ක තමයි සදාහන් කරන්නේ. accounts debited කළේ මෙයාට. accounts number එක මේක debited කියන්නේ debit කියන්නේ පුද්ගලයා description එක. මේකට අපි සාමාන්‍ය description නම දාන්නේ පුද්ගලයාගේ. debited කියලා තිබ්බත් කමක් නැහැ. මේ total එක තමයි අපි sales account එක credit කරලා individual accounts debit කරනවා. Suppose the company making these sales post transaction at end of the day, consequently, day end or day or month end, post each individual transaction to the accounts receivable subsidiary ledger. A can 800 increase in accounts receivable debit to the LECO. LECO ne palavini kena. LECO, Lee company, May company, DLK company. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ individual accounts වලට අපි මේ ප්‍රමාණය දානවා කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. මේ total එක ගන්නවා. total එක අපි දානවා sales account එකට. ඔන්න sales journal එකේ total එක. අපි ඒක ඕනනම් accounts receivable debit කරලා sales revenue credit කරනවා. main journal එකේ ලියනවා. ඊට පස්සේ individual accounts වලට දානවා මෙතන. ඒක තමයි ඔකේ කියන්නේ. right? ඒ ටික මතක තියාගන්න. The entering method. Then we move to the storages. Likewise, you prepare a trial balance, right? After, general ledger transaction, you prepare a trial balance. Once you have a trial balance, you have to check, right, adjustments and all kind of things. Then you can prepare a stockholders equity balance sheet, cash flow statement, income statement, and all you can do. That is a normal manual mechanism. Now I'll come back to you how it's recording in the computer-based system. This is all manual process. Ledger, journal, trial balance, and all kind of things. How it's get connected to the computerized system. Computerized system we identify different way. We identify different way. We are not going to identify the same like manual way. In the computer system, we have a different mechanism to understand. What is it? I will talk to you now. Let us discuss or move to the discussing some computer-based storage concepts. The computer-based storage concepts looks like a database system. You have entity, attributes, records, data value. That is, you can keep field, file, master file, transaction files, database. These words you want to understand now. What is entity? What is attribute? What is a record? What is the data value? What is a field? What is a file? What is the master file? What is the transaction? These are all columns and rows. In databases mean columns and rows. Now look example here. Entity is something about which information is stored. Store यानी record करना. In your university student information system, one entity is you as a student. Your birthday, your full name, your address, your telephone number, the information, the student's information system store information about students. What are some other entities in your student information system? We'll see one by one. Attributes are characteristic of interest with respect to the entity. Say student's characteristics, attributes. His name, surname, telephone numbers, those are attributes. Some attributes that student's information system typically stores about the student's entity are student ID number, phone number, addresses, and etc. Student is an entity. Customer is an entity. Supplier is an entity. The supplier's information about address, number, ID number, phone number, those are attributes. Employees are entity. Employees in your organization entity. Employees data about personal data, etc. are attributes. Field is a physical space where an attribute is stored. Right? All in the students' information together, we can say field. I will come there. Now it's a file. Now looks here. This space where the student's ID number stored in student's ID is a field. මේක තමයි field එක. Physical space where attributes is stored. Attributes store කරන field එක. කියන්නේ column එකක් කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. Column is the field. Right? මේ columns එකක් තමයි field කියලා. Record. Record එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ row එකක්. Column කොහෙර ලියා ගන්න. Column is a field, record is row. Row is a record. Row එකක් කියන්නේ record එකක්. Any particular information about the person. His phone number, his surname, his first name, his address, or maybe some ID number. Record is a set of attributes stored for a particular instance of an activity. The combination of attributes stored for a Berry Andrew is Berry's record is this. ඒ කියන්නේ එක පුද්ගලයෙකුට සම්බන්ධ සියලුම විස්තර රෙකෝඩ් එකක්. පුද්ගලයාගේ එක ඇට්‍රිබියුට් එකක් ගත්තාම ඒක අපි කියනවා field එකක් කියලා. කියන්නේ columns are field, rows are records. Data value is the intersection of the row and column. Intersection. Column and row දෙකම කැපෙන තැන තමයි data value එකක් කියන්නේ. This is Berry Andrew's phone number. This is a phone number. Intersection of කියන්නේ column එකයි row එකයි කැපෙන තැන. Intersection of the row and column. That is we call data value. Intersection of the row and column. A file is a group of related records. File is a group of related records. සියලුම records එකතු කරපුවාම records are the rows. Group of rows can rows ගොඩාරියක් we call records. Sam Simpson, Andrew, Valens මේ ඔක්කොගෙම students ලගේ මේ සියලුම students ලගේ columns and the rows. Column කියලා කියන්නේ එක එක attributes. Rows කියලා කියන්නේ attributes ගොඩාරියක්. Right? එක එක පුද්ගලයාට අදාළව තියෙන ඒවා ඔක්කොම එකතු කරපුවම අපි කියනවා file එකක් කියලා. Student file, customer file, supplier file. Customer එක customer ගේ විස්තර phone number, address and all record. Customer ගේ phone number එක විතරක් customers ලා ඔක්කොගේම phone numbers විතරක් අපි ගත්තොත් column එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒක අපි කියනවා අපි කිව්වේ attributes නෙවෙයි අපි කිව්වේ field එකක්. අපි මේක මේ ඔක්කොම customers ලගේ addresses හරි ID numbers ගත්තාම ඒක field එකක්. එක customer ගේ විස්තර ගත්තොත් එයාගේ නම, ගම, phone number, record එක. මේක field එකකුයි attributes එකකුයි field එකකුයි row එකකුයි record එකේ කැපෙන තැන තියෙන data value එක. මේ ඔක්කොම ටික ගත්තාම student file එක. Now you clear it. Data value. You clear field, records, data value, file. හතරක් තියෙනවා. දැන් එනවා පහ. Master file. Master file is a file that stores cumulative information about an organization. It is conceptually similar to a ledger in a manual AIS. The file is a permanent. The file exits across physical periods. Changes are made in the file to reflect the effect of new transaction. Master file කියලා කියන්නේ files ගොඩාරියක් එකතු වෙලා permanently එක exit වෙනවා අවුරුදු කීපයකට. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි general balance sheet එකට තියෙන සියලුම දේවල් වගේ ඒක update කර කර යන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක්. Transaction, that's a master file. Transaction files are during 1 year, during physical year. It's always we can update right after, like our income statement data, all journal in the manual, conceptual similar to journal in the manual. ඒක period එකට විතරයි අයිති. ledger account එකක් balance එකක් විදිහට දිගටම යනවා. ledger accounts is මේක පැහැදිලි කරනවා මෙතන. Conceptual similar to ledger. ledger එකක් balance කර කර යනවා. දක්වමු building account එක. building account එක you go like building account එක follow කර කර යනවා. Right? So year by year it's continuing. Building account is continuing. Right? Accounts receivable continue. Current accounts like stock accounts continuing. Ledger accounts continuing. Expenses like rent, electricity, right? Those things are transaction files. Sales, purchases, the during the year. That is not continuing. It's like journal. ledger එකයි journal එකයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා වෙනස. journal කියලා කියන්නේ මෙතනද ගොඩක් specific journal. Especially right, journal looks like cash disbursement, cash receipts journal, purchase journal, sales journal, etc. Transaction file is a file that contains records of individual transactions that occur during a physical period. The files are temporary. Transaction files are temporary during the 1 year period. The files are usually maintained for one physical period, right? A database, database, set of interrelated, centrally coordinated files. Interrelated, centrally coordinated files. Maybe student file, class file, instructor files. Suppose in the company have a creditors file, debtors file, sales receivable, cash receivable, creditors payments file, receivable file, right? Customer file, suppliers file, everything get connected and interrelated. Database can just the database mean, that's a one word you have to keep in your mind. It should be interrelated also. Not the many files in your disk is not a database. One file is get connected to another file, another file is get connected to another file. Interrelated word also very important. Right? Database කියන්නේ නිකන් data තොගයක් නෙවෙයි. data අතර සම්බන්ධතාවය. ඒකත් ආවොත් තමයි database කියලා කියන්නේ. වචනේ වක්කලා ළමයි ලියන්නේ නැහැ විභාගයේදී. database mean, right? Lot of data together. That is database. No. Lot of data as well as that among the databases have an interrelationship, interrelated, centrally coordinated. Centrally coordinated part also very, very essential. Otherwise, database doesn't work. Right? Database is a set of interrelated, centrally coordinated files. When files about students are integrated with files about classes and files about instructors, we have a database. Data processing now, we study lot of things today. Data input, data storage under that manual data storage, and you learn in very electronical data storage like databases, etc. Processing is a very important, right? Now electronical processing is very important. Remember, first we learn input. Input is superb, input is pure without a human error. Then the storage you learn. Storage, manual storage like a general ledger, journal, specific journal, right? Then specific ledgers, like we call subsidiary ledgers, ඒත් ඉගෙන ගත්තා. ඊට පස්සේ computer එකේ යන්නේ all are going with attributes, columns, field, likewise. That method. Then we learn data processing now. Data processing. Now you can understand data processing part. Once data about a business activity has been collected and entered into a system, it must be processed. Process means once data about business activity has been collected and entered as an input. You collected, then as an input you enter to the system. It must be processed. There are 4 different type of files processing. There are 4 different types of file processing. One, updating data. Because regularly you want to update the data you have data in your stores, right? You have to update the data. To record the occurrences of an event, the resources affected by the event, and agents who participated are changing their values. Example, recording sales to the customer. Because same customer, you have to update. That's update. Change in data, maybe customer address also changing, phone number changing. Adding data, you have to add always new customers. We have a space for that. There are 4 different type of processing data. Deleting data, updating, changing, adding and deleting. Remove an old customer that has not purchased anything in last 5 years. There should be a principle in the organization, deleting him. Updating you can do different way through several approaches. Batch processing. Batch processing means at the end of the day or at the end of the month, you collect all data and update it. Updating means, right? You know, updating looks like that, no? You have to, right? Resource affected by the event and agents, transactions, you update. Again, sales. Sales ටික ඔක්කොම at the end of the month sales count එක update කරනවා. Batch එකෙන් batch එකට. End of the day, right? Or end of the month, right? This is called batch processing. Source documents are grouped into batches and control totals are calculated. periodically. This is a very important thing is batch processing periodically. It can be end of the month or end of the day. The batches are entered into the computer system. එක එවලම enter කරන්නේ නැහැ. Online නෙවෙයි. Online real time නෙවෙයි. And now the most of the banks previously, now 5-6 years back before computerization, end of the day, they have a batch processing. Right? All transaction people do before 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, customers can't enter. Right? They do, right, behind the branch. They batch processing. All debit slips, credit slip, withdrawal, deposits, they enter to the general ledger. Right? They update the computer system. ඒවා බලාගෙන තමයි දාන්නේ. Debit slip, credit slip, bala enter කරනවා. Batch are entered into the computer system, edited, stored and stored in a temporary file. The temporary transaction file is run against the master file to update the master file. Master file එකට ඊට පස්සේ ගේනවා. Master file එකේ තියෙන permanent data, right? Transaction file එකේ තියෙන yearly data, monthly data, daily data. ඒවා ඊට පස්සේ master file එකට update කරනවා. This is called batch processing. Batch by batch, it's a periodic. Time span is there. End of the day, end of the week, or end of the month. Output is printed or displayed along with error reports, transaction reports, and control totals. ඒගොල්ලෝ output also printed and displayed, right? Whatever they do. Online batch processing. This is also very important. There are batch processing. Online doesn't work. Periodically, they enter the systems and updating and get the reports. Here, when the transaction occur, transaction are entered into the computer system as they occur and store in a temporary file. When I go and buy the goods, same time they enter the transaction to the computer and store in a temporary file. හැබැයි තාම process කරන්නේ නැහැ. Temporary file එක අපි ඔක්කොම data temporary file එක every minutes whatever the data temporary file they store. Periodically තමයි make it කරන්නේ. කියන්නේ online batch processing කියන්නේ එකයි. Batch processing ම තමයි online. Earlier batch processing, end of the period only they updating. Here the same time they enter to the system, computer එකට එවලම enter කරලා keep as a store as a temporary. Periodically the temporary transaction file run against the master file to update the master file. Master file එක කියලා කියන්නේ cash book එක නැත්නම් sales journal එක sales account එකට අපි මේ total එක එවලම enter කරලා තියාගෙන temporary පස්සේ අපි full account system එකට ගෙනියනවා. Online you get the transaction but you process as a periodically. The output is printed and displayed. But this is the most important thing. Nowadays in banks, you deposit the money, same minutes your account is updated. We withdraw the money, same time your amount is, right, updated. Online real-time processing. Online, now my lecture is online real-time. Right, if I recorded my lecture and put it to the LMS, right, that is online, right, online batch processing, right, much better. I think go to the banking transaction, right, you withdraw the money or deposit the money, but bank update your accounts end of the day. රැට තමයි update වෙන්නේ. That is online batch processing. Temporary file එක තියාගෙන පස්සේ master file එක හරහා transaction එක ඔයාගේ account එක debit credit වෙනවා. එවලෙම වෙනවා නම් at the same minute same moment online real time processing. ඉස්සර කාලේ batch processing නම් ඒකත් හැන්දෑවට තමයි උදේ ගන්නව හැන්දෑවට accounts ඔකන accounts පොතේ passbook එකට එන්නේ පස්සේ ගිහලා යාවට update the passbook. Online real-time processing transactions are entered into the computer system as they occur. The master file is immediately updated with the data from the transaction. They don't keep temporary transaction file. Output is printed or displayed. Updating can be done through several approaches. Now you learn batch processing you can process. Online batch processing you can process. Online real-time processing you can process. Right? If you are going through enrollment, which of these approaches would you prefer that your university was using? Right. In university system, we have batch processing. You come batch by batch. Your batch is over, next batch is coming. We don't have online batch processing. Again, every semester, right, we try to get the students now, but in previously year by year. First batch year by year. Now we are getting every semester, right? Like university system, you can't see online real-time processing. It's like not transaction, banks, companies, debtors, creditors, customers, organization can do. We always go to the batch processing or maybe semester-wise. That is also batch processing, right? We always go to the batch processing. Then final data processing cycle is information output. The final step in the process, information process is information output. This output can be in the form of documents. Documents are records of transaction of the company data, right? Like a purchase order, invoice. Those are kind of operational documents. This can be printed or you can see. Reports. Reports also output are used to employees to control operational activities and by managers to make decisions and design strategies on regular basis, exceptional basis, on demand. When they request, they can get the reports. Queries. Queries mean A is a customer, what is his outstanding amount? B is the customer, some queries about the customers and people. Queries are users' requests for a specific piece of information. They may be requested periodically on time for they are making decision they can get. Always soft copy or a hard copy. Output can serve a variety of purpose. Output can serve a variety of purpose. Financial statement can be provided to the both external and internal users. Some outputs are specifically internal use for planning purpose, especially budgets, sales forecast. Those are internal reports, internal outputs. Management of day-to-day operations, delivery schedule, control purpose. Management by exemption mean where the things are out, controlling again pita panapua, they can investigate. Is an approach utilizing performance reports that focus on investigating and acting on only those variations that are significant. Like performance reports mean compare actual and standard, and any differences, any variances, you can make a control evaluation purpose is that. These outputs might include surveys, reports, and kind of a things, reports on employees' error rates. Behavioral implication of managerial reports also there, you get what you measure. Suppose an instructor wants to improve students' learning. He decides to encourage better attendance by grading students on attendance. The results will be better students, something like, some example. You can read it for your own work. Now I will go to the book, right? And we'll see some additional works in the books as well. Now these things are output part. That is not very essential for you. Yeah, I'll come to the AIS part at last. Then give me 1 second. Stop sharing. Then I will move to the book. Right. In the book, you can see here, chart of accounts I show you, sample of journals, and these are the audit trail, right? This is the attributes, individual fields, 3 entities, 3 records. This is called one entity, data storage elements. Entity, the item about which information is stored in a record. Example, include an employee, an inventory item, and customer. Within a customer number. Within a field, field. Make a customer record ABC company 100 233 Lotus Avenue, credit balance, something like that. Data values can make a figure. Right? These are attributes. Attributes like a field. Right? Particular persons, all information records. These are individual fields. Right? This is what I explained earlier. File, master file, transaction files. Right? Now updating batch processing. We'll read batch processing. Updating done periodically, such as daily, is referred to as batch processing. Although batch processing is cheaper and more efficient, the data are current and accurate only immediately after processing. We can process day itself better. For that reason, batch processing is used only for an application such as payroll that do not need frequent updating, right? Because you pay monthly salaries and that naturally occur are processed at a fixed time period. Maybe weekly payment, weekly process, monthly payment, monthly process. Api office okkama monthly ni batch processing for salaries. Most companies update each transaction as it occurs. Referred to as a real-time processing, because it ensures that store information is always current, thereby increasing its decision-making useful. It is also more accurate because data input errors can be corrected in real time as or refused. It is also provides significant competitive advantage. For example, FedEx updating its mission statement to include the paras, positive control of each package will be maintained by utilizing real-time electronic tracking and tracing system. With FedEx system, employees and customers can track that exact location of each package and estimate its arrival time. Real-time processing example. Right? Combination of the two approaches is online batch processing, where transaction data entered and edited as they occur and stored for a later processing. Right? Later process, batch processing and real-time processing are summarized figure 2.5. Bottom figure 2.5. This one. Batch processing. Look this example. Group source documents into batches, generate control totals. Enter batches at predetermined times or a batch size, soft file, and edit data as appropriate. Store data in temporary file. අපේ master file කියලා අපේ permanent file එක. Customers ලගේ ඔක්කොම accumulated data තියෙනවා මේ ආවේ අද customer කරපු විස්තර. Process all batches, update them all master files with transaction data, creating new master file. Master file එක update කරනවා. If you want print. Online batch processing. Enter transaction into the systems as they occur. Store data in temporary file. දෙකේම තියෙන්නේ එහෙමයි. Process temporary file at predetermined time. Make it after certain period. Data. Update older master file with transaction data. Create. Right. New master file. Print if you want. This is the most present day some banks are doing or some companies also, but mostly batch processing in government organization, and some are in online processing, right? Online processing also take a period, but same time occur they enter, but periodically you update the master file. Master file කියලා කියන්නේ දැන් අපි transaction එකේ යාගේ තියෙන account එක. මගේ account එක තියෙන්නේ එතන. අද කරපු transactions තමයි ඒක update වෙන්න මගේ master file එකේ මගේ account එක. එවලෙම වෙනවා නම් that is called real time processing. Enter transaction to system as they occur. Same time. No, you don't keep any temporary file. Process transaction as they occur. Update master file with transaction data and print. This is the way. Transaction processing. Then something new in my book you can find out. Blockchain. What is this blockchain? Now we teach blockchain in your university, in your program also. At the end you will learn. But today you can learn a little bit about the blockchain. It's another new transaction processing system happening online. People have been engaged in business transactions for thousands of years. Originally, people kept track or accounted for these transactions using single entry accounting system. ඉස්සර අපේ තිබුණේ single entry තනි සටහන්. We eventually graduated to the double entry bookkeeping systems with the journals and ledgers and paper-based financial reports that have been used for 100 years. When computers were invented with a new trend, we digitalized the journals and ledgers. Now you learn today how to digitalize. All journals and ledgers we digitalize as a database system. Like field, records, data value, attributes, likewise. Right? We digitalized the journal and ledgers and created transaction files and master files. Transaction file is a daily transaction file. Master file is our basically we maintain the accumulated files. That did the job of paper-based journal and ledgers. That is the old method. When the number of master files proliferated with its attendant data redundancies and inaccuracies. We combine multiple files into the database, which have grown larger and more complex over time. Each company involved in transaction had its own way of capturing transaction data and storing transactions, often in centralized database that provide better control and security. Customers and vendors must periodically reconcile its records to the other party in the transaction. With computers also came a large variety of software programs to capture, store, process, and report accounting data. But these programs often did not capture non-financial data very well. Over time, accounting software has improved significantly. We now have intelligent and automated accounting products that provide automatic transaction recording on demand, accounting function, and automatic distribution of data, thereby doing away with many of the bookkeeping functions of old. These systems, which have machine learning and artificial intelligence embedded in them. What is artificial intelligence and machine learning? That is coming at the end of the topics. Course. Store data in the cloud. They also use smart portals for clients to transfer data and information back and forth. When the parties to transaction, when the parties to transaction do not trust each other, a third party steps to hold the items of value being exchanged until both parties complete their side of transaction. For example, when you buy a house, you use realtors and title of the company to make sure clear title is passed on to the insurer. The house conveys to the buyer. And that means if you want to buy a house, you have to check the title, whether it's clear or not, right? Otherwise, you are getting right some wrong title, maybe wrong kind of a things. That is what here, right? May system blockchain just simply, right? The title are then recorded. The titles are recorded in the country's government, creating public records of that is being Kacheri and all AG office. You have a title about the whole your house and your land. The advent of the internet has had tremendous impact on people and businesses. The internet has many uses, including the ability to share information with large groups of people. There are many people-to-people interactions such as social media. There are also many business-to-customer applications such as online shopping. Business-to-business transaction also facilitated by the internet. Many internet transactions are processed and stored by all the traditional legacy system. Why the advent of cryptocurrencies, the new technology called blockchain is changing the way financial transaction as well as many other types of transactions are recorded, processed, and stored. While the internet is network of information, a blockchain is a network of value and trust. That is, items of value can be exchanged in secure and trusted manner. Blockchain is more than databases. It is new way to process, store, share, and search information. Blockchain and how it works is discussed in chapter 1 and 11. Now, just example, blockchain is a new way of, they said new way of, it's a network of value and trust. It's a new way of secure, trusted manner, exchange the data and all kind of things. I just make example to you, very simple one, but in depth you will learn later. Suppose you want to sell your land. Suppose you have land, but the title is belong to you. But before you buy the land, you bought in another person. That person bought from another person. This is go to, that is we call, right? When you going to buy a land or a house, you check the extracts. Extracts mean you have to go to the government office, land registry. The land registry have a history of your house, history of your land, from whom to whom it transfer, from one person to another person to another person, or how many people entitled, 1/4, 2/4, likewise whole history. The whole history of the land you can find out. History you can collect. Hello, mama lecture again. Mama lecture again, right? History of the land, right? You can get the history of the land, right? History means not your history. Your land is not immediate history. Maybe 30, 40 years back. History of the land. Who belongs to that land? Who has the share? How that is sharing, right? And who are the owners? Likewise, whole you have. Now, under blockchain technology, say land registry, right? All these history are recorded in a digital format. Just assume. I don't know whether they are going to start that project or not, right? The whole, because they have written in the books. ලොකු පොතක ලියලා තියෙන්නේ. මං ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ලොකු පොතක ඒ ඉඩම පළවෙනි අයිතිකාරය ඊළඟ අයිතිකාරය ඊළඟ අයිතිකාරය ඊළඟ අයිතිකාරය කොහොමද මේක ආපු හැටි කියලා තියෙනවා. අපිට අපි එක්ස්ට්‍රැක්ට්ස් බැංකු ලෝන් ගන්න අපිට ඒවා ඉල්ලනවා. right? අපිට ඒ ඔක්කොම අපි හිතමු first owner, then second owner, third owner, how that land is divided to the various family members, then who are the new people. Likewise, entire things assume that is in digitalized and it's there in the internet, right? In a secure manner. Nobody can't edit it. Nobody can't, change the figures. If changes, that will get caught, right? You can develop such a system, then everybody can transfer you can see, suppose if you want to buy a land, you don't want to go to land registry. You can check entire owners, right? Past history you can see through internet, but you have to pay little money to the land registry or to sue this to see entire things. Suppose you want to sell, you also sell. Once you sell, that is also registered in the blockchain. Block by block, the entire, right, value, trust is that is what nobody can't edit it. You have to find the security mechanism. That is items of value can be exchanged in secure and trusted manner. Blockchain is more than the database. Database only data, interactions and all. Here you can sell the land also through internet, right? Secure manner. You can get the money also to your bank account. In new ways to process, store, process also can do, store, share, search information, blockchain, and how it works. It is discussed in the chapter 1 and 11. You can read leisurely if you want this. One use that was not profiled in focus 1.3 is smart contracts. They are discussed briefly here as they are relevant to the transaction processing. Smart contracts and all also part of the blockchain technology. Those things you earn little later. Now, just the idea about that, right? That is also new way of processing, but still we are teaching in the batch processing, batch processing and real-time processing. But blockchain also another one. It's including many things together, right? Coming near future very fast. Enterprise resource planning, ERP, right? SAP is one of the brand name. This is I want to explain to you. The ERP system overcome these problems. That means this is combining all accounting information. Wait a minute, I'll go to my presentation and discuss with you that part. That is easier, right? Because, right. This part. The traditional AIS, you can see my last two slides. The traditional AIS capture financial data or non-financial data was captured in other, sometimes redundant systems. But in ERP system are designed to integrate all aspects of company's operations, including both financial, non-financial, about the employees, qualification, etc., with a traditional function of an AIS. And in AIS, you can solve many issues in the organizations, not only the financial, it's connected with the whole cycles which I talked to you, revenue cycle, expense cycle, production cycle, etc., and all reporting part together, and financial and non-financial together. Because sometimes non-financial data, the customer's birthday, right? If we have a system, you can send the happy birthday to the customer also. Those are non-financial data, right? Because you can make more customer related, more happy system with a non-financial data. It's more in competitive advantage kind of a things. We have learned the basic business process in which organization engage, the decisions that need to be made, and information required to make those decisions. We have reviewed the data processing cycle and its role in organizing business process and providing to the user. Finally, we have touched on the role of the information system in modern organization and introduced the ERP system, how it's work. I think in my book also there are things about the ERP system we will read before finishing the today's work. Look, this traditionally the AIS has been referred to as a transaction processing system because it is only concerned with financial data and accounting transaction. It's a traditional AIS. For example, when sales took place, the AIS would record the journal entry showing only the date of the sales, debit to the either cash or accounts receivable, or a credit to the sales. This double entry, Other potential useful non-financial information about the sale, such as the time of the day that it occurred, would traditionally be collected and processed outside the AIS. You can't collect that one through data-based system, AIS system, time of the day the sales occurred. Sometimes it will be important. Consequently, many organizations develop additional information systems to collect, process, store, and report information not contained in the AIS. Unfortunately, the existence of multiple systems creates the numerous problems and inefficiencies. Often the same data must be captured and stored by more than one system, which not only results in redundancy across the system, but also can lead to discrepancies if data change in one system but not in others. In addition, it is difficult to integrate data from the various systems. ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System occurs, overcome these problems as they integrate all aspects of the company's operation with traditional AIS. Most large and many medium-sized organizations use ERP systems to coordinate and manage their data, business processes, and resources. The ERP system collects, processes, and stores data and provide the information managers and external parties need to assess the company. That's what I think you all, right? Financial, non-financial. Maybe you know the example like in ERP. You can find out here revenue cycle, expenditure cycle, HRM cycle, the cycle what you learned today, production cycle, general ledger cycle, right? Integrated ERP database, right? In ERP database, including other than the cycle, customer relationship management, project management, right? System tools, data analytics tool, business analytics and all forecasting and everything is their advantage, disadvantage of ERP system also you can read and understand. That what I think today I have completed the entire ERP system and the second chapter I done for you and the work what you want to do is you have to read these two chapters and get a good knowledge. I already given in your chat box, I have given the book. I don't know how many students downloaded. If you can't download it, consult, who is that? You have to consult the Lahiru, who is that later? Kalhari, right? Then Kalhari contacted me and you can get the copy of the book. Now, two chapters done, and please start reading because there are a lot of chapters. There are 18 chapters you are going to learn. Then, when you come to at the end, there are a lot of workload. You get many work. You are information overload, right? But you are getting full knowledge about the accounting information system because you are studying one by one these cycles. Revenue cycle, documentation involving, DFD involving, controlling techniques and how to manage efficiently. Everything you learn, right? You learn many things, right? Day by day from each section, right? Therefore, in future, maybe the next week onwards, you collecting more data, more information, more knowledge. When you get more and more information, more to read, more to study. Therefore, take a time when you have a free time, especially right in office or Sundays or maybe in whatever the days, right in the Vesak season comes rather than going long journeys, trips and all. Study, right? Read at least one time, first chapter and second chapter with my PowerPoint presentation. Enough. Then the basic things you are covering about what is AIS, how it works, how it's related to the computers, right? What are the main cycles in ERP? Those became finally ERP modules. And then all ledger journal, how we converted to the computer system like database system. Those kind of things you need knowledge, right? I gave something but more things come from your side. This is because the new subject and very important as well. Okay, thank you. My voice also moving, continuously talking. Take care and good night. Any questions you have? Any questions? Anything to ask from me? Yeah, I feel everybody silent. Are you sleeping now?
All clear, sir. Thank you.
Okay, take care. I thought
Okay.
you all sleep. Thank you.